Brad, I've seen a lot of questions concerning map alignment and how you do that, get your maps completely aligned for Foundry or any virtual tabletop system. So I'm going to show you what I use, and I think it's a pretty nice workflow. It allows you to actually put together a grid-aligned map and be able to use that. Even if you delete your scene, you can re-import that map. It'll already be grid aligned. So let's talk about how to do that. The first thing you're going to need is a tool called Map Align that somebody was kind enough to create. So you just Google that, Map Align. And the very first one is a Fantasy Grounds forums entry. Sorry that it's just going to be like that. Somebody can go ahead and save it to their Dropbox if they get permission from the creator. I just am too lazy to actually go through that, so I'm just showing you how to get there. I'm using the large address aware version of it. I'm not sure about the other version, but at least this one right here will allow you to do what I'm doing today. The next thing you're going to do is when you click on that, it'll ask you to log in, and so that's the reason why I made an account with Fantasy Grounds. Once you're done doing that, you will then have a zip file that you will download and unzip, and it's just a single executable file. That's all. That's all there is to it. I'm going to double click this because I just want to showcase what will happen. You'll have this window. If you're using a Windows PC, it'll say that it's an unknown publisher. I run it anyway, and here we are, right into the Map Align tool. Very quick tutorial. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and maximize my screen just so that I have a bigger scale to work with here. And I'm going to go and open a map. Now, I use an old map here, and I'll showcase how this works. So I'm going to open this. This old map that I'm opening already has, you can see in the background, very light, are these grids. And they're not very perfect grids either, but they're grids nonetheless. So the way I do this is I pick a corner of the screen where there is a grid available. So either the upper right, upper left, lower right, or lower left. And in this case, I will go ahead and choose maybe the lower left corner. Even though it's very hard to see, I will choose the lower left corner here, and I'm going to zoom in. By the way, navigation here is really wonky. Middle scroll button does the zoom in, and it tends to want to reset the view. So just be aware of that. You can see, actually, I'm going to do it my grid right here. Now, notice I haven't clicked on the screen yet. Now, once I click on the screen, it'll want to start drawing a box. So you're going to highlight a single square, try to get as exact as possible. This will be your baseline square you're going to work from for the rest of this process. So I'll go ahead and do that. It automatically places in a grid here. Notice in the upper left here, the output pixels I have for 70, you can change that to whatever you want. 70 or 50 I think are pretty good settings. Now, from that single square I've done, I'm not going to, please do not click anywhere on the screen. What I'm going to do is go to the scroll bar on the right-hand side. I'm going to scroll up, and what I'm going to concern myself right now with is the horizontal alignment. And as I scroll up here, using the scroll bar, you can see that the grid that I created is a little bit large. It's actually overtaking the squares, right? You can see like right here, the red grid that I've drawn in for my sample grid is slightly larger than the actual grid. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to go up to the upper left-hand corner of this, and I'm going to decrease the tile height. And actually, I'm going to decrease it. You can do in steps of pixels, a single pixel, 1/6 of a pixel, or 1/8 of a pixel. I am going to actually decrease by 1, maybe even 2 full pixels. And this is more of an art form at this point. And I'll scroll down. You can see the initial square I started with is still right there. And now I'm looking at horizontal alignment. And if I see, as I scroll up, if I see that the horizontal alignment doesn't work out, see, my horizontals are working pretty nicely here. They align very nicely throughout. They're starting to get a little bit large by the time I scroll all the way to the top. You can see at the top here, my red box is slightly larger. So what I'm going to do is decrease it by maybe 1/8, and I'll scroll all the way down one last time. You can see my initial box is right there, and I'll scroll up. You can see horizontally, my horizontal lines match up with the grid pretty perfectly, actually. I'll keep going all the way until I get to the top, and that is pretty good. I might decrease it by another 1/8, just to have it really well set in there, and I feel pretty good about that. Now I'm going to do the vertical alignment. Again, my square is right here that I'm dealing with. I'm going to scroll to the right using the left and right scroll bar down here. Do not click on your screen, otherwise you'll reset your grid. And I will scroll to the right, and you'll see that based upon this initial block, my width of my pixels here or my grid is way too large. It overtakes this very quickly. So I'm going to decrease the width here in the upper left hand corner. I'll decrease by 2, maybe even 3 pixels initially. It's just a really rough guide initially. So you can see my initial square is still fitting fine, and then I'll go over to the right here and I'll look at my vertical pixel alignment. Let's see, you can see there's a slight issue here. I made my pixels too small, so I'm going to increase my pixel width by 1 and maybe decrease by a 1/6, maybe another 6. There we go. All right, and you can see that actually lines up pretty nicely. Just double check. I'll scroll all the way up. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm rough editing this. You can see that like over here, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. If you really wanted to, you could increase that by a 1/6 if you really felt as though you needed to. But now once you're done with that, that's it. It's aligned. Not only that, but it's set for 70 pixels. I don't touch anything else. The other thing you need to note here is that you have an output width and height here. 2030 is the width in pixels, and the height is 2870. That's going to be important for us later on. I'm going to save this right now, and when I save, it will not place these red grids on there. So I'll just click save. And notice when I click save, it actually appends to the file name the number of pixels per square and then the width and height of it. So I'll go ahead and click save. And now I can kind of close that. I'm not going to. And I'm here in Foundry now. And I'll go ahead and create a new scene just to showcase this. My scene will just be, I'll call it test. And let's go ahead and upload a map here. Here it is, select it. And I'll just type that in here, 2030 by 2870. It's square, and remember pixel size or grid size in pixels was 70. And once I'm done there, I'll just go ahead and showcase this. I'll click Save Changes. And if I go up to where test is up here, you can see actually it's aligned pretty darn nicely in here. And note also, let me zoom in so you can see that. Note also that if I delete this and re-import it, that grid is aligned perfectly no matter what. So that's how I align grids. It's the best way I've found to align grids. It works very beautifully. If I could pay the person money who created that, I would, because it is freaking awesome. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you have a great day.